In Chris's last episode, he was replanting this aquarium, adding a whole lot more plants, and realized the lighting that was there was a bit inadequate. He wanted to improve the lighting. Basically, the lighting is really important for photosynthesis and plant growth. The more light they get, and the proper light, this one does have a full spectrum, including blue and red, which is important for photosynthesis. So he's hoping to improve the quality of his plant material in this aquarium, and is interested to see how this light will perform. Hey, it's Jim here. Welcome back to Stubbs Aquatics. Chris has asked me to do a review on a light that he recently received. Chris is having a bad hair day today, so that's why I'm sitting here and not Chris. Anyway, I've got a lot of plants. I'm not that experienced with aquarium lighting, but I do grow a lot of plants indoors under artificial light. And Chris thought it would be great to have me sit in and do a review. We're looking at the Seaoura 24/7 aquarium light, model number SR657. So this is the actual light fixture. It's got a nice aluminum chassis, really sleek profile. It is a little warm. It's not hot to touch by any means, but it does give off a bit of warmth. Each end has extendable brackets, which is nice because it'll just, fit a variety of different situations. It is quite bright. I'm going to turn it to the camera and you can get an idea how bright this puppy is. Lightweight. It does have a program and control on the cord, which is not too far away from the light, so it's handy. It's right there. You can set this thing. There's so many different settings you can do with this, which is great. The best is mimicking a daylight nighttime scenario. Just going to go through the color options. There are 9 of them, starting with full spectrum. And then we have red, green, there's your blue, pink, purple, cyan, and orange. And then there's a full color cycle that it will do. We're having a bit of an awkward time here. My cameraman is new. Sorry, Chris. This is the controller for the light. And as I mentioned, it's very close in the cord to the light fixture, so it's quite handy. On the bottom, you'll see there's an up arrow and a down arrow. And if we hit the up arrow, we'll start going from 5% all the way up to 100% intensity. So it's quite controllable. There's a lot of options there for the intensity of the lighting. And I think we're there. Nope, still going. Another nice feature of this controller is it's got the display on it. So as you're changing intensity, you'll see it shows where you're at, which is nice. Like, if you want to be at 60%, you can see where it is. You don't have to count clicks. Now we'll talk a little bit about why it's important to have decent lighting if you have a planted aquarium. Obviously, Chris has set up 2 different levels of lighting here. One's for all his pothos and the ivies and such. And then this here is the Seaoura that we just looked at closely. And its intention is to light all the aquatic plants. Now, it's a decent light. It is pre-programmed for a 24/7 cycle. It is also customizable. Depending on the plant material you have, not all plants have the same light requirements. So, having said that, like I say, it's got the 24/7, it's already pre-programmed. It mimics a day cycle, a 24-hour cycle. So from sunrise to midday to sunset, dusk, nighttime. And that is important because there is something that's called a photoperiodic cycle. And plants go through it every day. Every 24 hours, it's the same thing for plants. As the sun comes up, photosynthesis begins in the plants and increases with the intensity of the sun. And then as the sun goes down, that photosynthesis slows down and it rests at nighttime. So it's important that you have that cycle with your lighting and the plants. When photosynthesis occurs, a byproduct of that is oxygen. So these plants are also oxygenating the water, which is important for the fish. Nighttime, when they're resting, they do give off CO2. All plants do. Every plant material, whether it's terrestrial or if it's an aquatic plant, goes through the same process. But what's important is during the daytime, the oxygen levels will increase in the pond. Sorry, I'm a pond guy. And that's when your fish are most active and when they need more oxygen. So having a decent light and programmable light, like the Seaoura here, it's very important. And you're going to mimic nature. You're going to get closer to a natural setting, environment, process with decent lighting than you would otherwise if you just had a light that you turn on in the morning, shut it off at night. Now, Chris has asked me to talk about some of the technical aspects. I'm more of the practical type, the hands-on type, and not one that's into specifications and that sort of thing, but I'm going to try and give you some of the specs regarding this light. It has 3 modes, custom timer. It's a DIY hour and minute and day mode. Of course, there's a night mode and 24/7 mode. It also has a battery, which goes into the back of the controller there. It comes with this handy screwdriver, which is actually pretty decent. It's not one of these cheap ones. So you can replace the battery. So if there is a power failure or anything like that, it will continue to count time. It will not lose its memory or the program that you have set for it, which is kind of cool. When the power comes back on, it will pick up at that point in your cycle, your daylight cycle. It does have, it is waterproof, easy to clean and maintain, which is also important because around an aquarium, you got the fish food, you got a lot of humidity, things can build up on it. It's nice that you can clean it off, especially the bottom here. That way you will maintain the intensity of the light. It's not going to dim over time because it gets crusted with, moisture and dust and such. High quality LEDs, there's 7 rows. I've talked about the brightness, it's dimmable, 20 settings for your brightness. It is full spectrum, I mentioned that earlier. And it's ideal for plant growth, and that's the most important thing. In Chris's application, it's not to light the aquarium so you can see your fish and your landscape. The important part here is that it's going to provide the plants with the quality light that they need in order to thrive. So anyway, Chris is my cameraman today. Did I miss anything? Have I covered pretty much the basics?
Well, I think it probably wouldn't hurt to say, why I wasn't available, and it wasn't really my hair.
Well, obviously.
Or lack thereof. But no, continue. You're doing a great job.
All right.
Maybe they want to know how many lights or LEDs are in there, because a lot of them are into that.
Oh, sure, yeah. High quality LEDs, 7 rows of 50/50. It has 2,835 LED chips. I mentioned it is full spectrum. There's a total of 9 colors: red, green, blue, pink, purple, cyan. That's one that I couldn't name. Like I say, I've not seen this particular light fixture until today. Sitting here, I've noticed a couple of things, and I mentioned earlier where the controller is on the cord. I don't know if you can see that there. It's about a foot away from the light fixture, so it's really accessible. And the cord is, I believe, 8.5 feet long. Plenty of length to get to an outlet, depending on your setup. But it's nice that they put this close to the light fixture, not the other end of the cord. And the arms are extendable, so it is adjustable to fit a variety of widths. As you can see here, Chris has the 3-foot one, and he's just got it set on top of his canopy, his cover, which is fine as well. And you can also see it doesn't go from end to end of the tank, but if you look inside, you got full coverage. So there's a good spread coming off this light fixture.
which I think is really important.
It is, yeah. Yeah, you're getting good coverage in there.
And for those who may find Seaoura or any other light in particular that's programmable a little bit difficult, we'll actually go over the full setup process.
Yep, that's your job.
Sure, throw it on me.
Oh yeah, you got to do something here.
I'm operating the camera.
And doing a fine job too.
Don't I look good?
No, like I said, you're having a bad hair day. So this is not Chris's first Seaoura light fixture.
No.
You've got one on Barb City.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned you got one or two in here. Also, you've been using their submersible ones in your indoor Shabunkin pond this winter.
That's true, and I also have them above on this tank. Sorry, I'm just going to
above the plants there.
Where all the plants are.
Okay.
That's a Seaoura light right up there.
Okay.
And that's a programmable one as well. That was actually their first true programmable, where you could set time for, you know, what color light you wanted on at specific times. Okay. And this one's similar to that. So I'm really liking, but it's got more of a digital display, which I really want to get into.
Okay.
Because it'll tell you what percentage your light's at. It'll tell you what color, as in from 1 to 9. And there's, you know, when you set it for the 24 setting that you want to be able to program it, it'll go from L1 right up, and you set it from there. So we'll probably best, if we want to, you know, show how that's done, we'll do a real close-up, just because Seaoura can be a little bit difficult to understand if you haven't used them before. Mm-hmm. They make an excellent light, and I stand behind the lights. I had them for well over a year and a half and had zero problem. And that's much better than some of the other lights I've had.
Sure. Yeah, so as you're more familiar with this product or this company than I am, why don't we get you to describe and demonstrate the programs and the control?
What I would suggest to people is, well, be a guy.
Oh, you were saying that.
Yeah. You know, actually play with the buttons first before you go through the instructions. Because the light will come on in your brain and go, okay, this makes sense now.
Yeah.
So that's why I say play with it first, and then read the instructions, and then follow through it.
And like you said too, that a nice feature of this is the digital display.
Yeah,
you're not just looking at something and watching the light react. Yeah. You're actually seeing a display as well, and it's telling you what you're doing.
Yeah, and that's what I want.
Cool.
Well, let's go through the buttons and the features on this first.
Sure. Yep. The first button we'll talk about is the set button.
Which is this one here in the top left.
Yeah. So we're talking about the set button.
Yep.
You can switch between 12 and 24-hour time settings.
Yep, which is really easy.
It'll save and exit any settings. It's almost like an OK button, I think.
Yeah.
To me, much. Right? That's like the final button you press that sets everything. And
yeah, makes sense.
Whether you're programming or you're using the pre-programmed 24/7 settings. Below that, you have the color setting. We talked about switching between colors. I believe there were six colors, 9 colors.
Well, we'll just go through them now, and you can see the, you know, the color. And
well, you can see 5, the color changing, yeah.
And then 6, and then. Yeah.
But it's nice too. We talked about the display, the digital display, and it's showing you what color you're on.
Yeah, and it's important because sometimes I can't really tell between the orange and the daylight. Yeah.
It's similar.
It's similar. So,
but it's nice, and I've got the manual in front of me, and you notice when Chris was changing colors, it gave a number.
Yeah.
You can reference that in the manual.
Yeah.
If you're unsure exactly what the color is, if it's puce or whatever. But anyway, moving on, we go to the bottom. We talked about the arrow buttons before.
Right.
Increasing or decreasing the intensity of the lighting.
Yeah, so we're at 95 now, and that's 100, and then we can move it right down. And I really like how it's a digital display. So you're not playing the guessing game.
That's great. Yeah, you know exactly where you're at.
75, you know, and I never really want 100% because then might be dealing with an algae issue. So,
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
especially on full spectrum.
Yeah. So you got to kind of monitor that and judge it. And after time, you'll find the setting that works well for your particular setup or your aquarium.
You'll note also if I should disconnect this
Oh, power failure.
and you plug it back in. Guess what?
It's
Still
right back to where it was. Or actually not where it was. It is current.
Yeah, it's current, and the power is the same.
Yep.
So
Nice. Let's talk about the settings and programming your lights. You can set this for a 24-hour clock or a 12-hour clock. We have found it easier to use a 24-hour clock as you know you're in the PM or the AM. It's just a little easier than doing like 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Go for the 24-hour clock, simplifies things. So we'll go through it. There are 5 different levels per day. So we're going to do set it for a 24/7 program. You set it for 1 day and it repeats for 7 days. Easy. So let's go in. We'll start by pressing the 24/7 button here. You will notice that there's a couple of changes on the display. The hour is flashing. This light here indicates the start time, and we're on level 1. So Chris has already set this. The time is 7:30. If you want to change the hours, arrow buttons on the bottom, up and down. So you can go 7, 8, 9, 10, or you can go back 7. Easy. Hit that 24/7 button again. The minutes start to flash. Same thing. Use the arrow buttons to increase the minutes or decrease the minutes. Hit it again. We go to the end time for level 1. End time for level 1, 8:30. Now we go on to level 2, which has a start time of 8:30. This is the end time for level 2, which is daylight. Press again, change the minutes, and then we go into the next level. What do you call this one, Chris?
this is dusk.
Dusk, alrighty. So he's got it set for, that's what, 9:30 end time. Once again, you want to change it. Arrow buttons on the bottom here. Switch over to the minutes, and we go to the end time for the next level, which he's got set at 11:30 or 23:30. That needs to be changed. The hour's flashing. Use the arrow buttons to change the hour.
It gives you your sort of a moonlight blue light, and at 10 or 11:30 or 23:30 hours,
Alrighty.
we can switch that over to absolutely no light.
Which you do have on, I believe, the next level. Let's see here. Get rid of, so there's the minutes. And then that's the end time for the last level. And if Chris can get up there, you'll see there's no lights on. So that would be nighttime. That would go from, I can't remember what time that was, around midnight to 7:30 in the morning. And then the cycle starts again, and that is your 24/7 program. So it's fairly straightforward.
If you didn't like this method, you can just go straight to 24/7 and it'll do everything for you.
It is pre-programmed. There is a program on it for 24/7 cycle, which is sufficient. But if you're a little more tech savvy and you have some maybe more specific requirements, you can certainly go in and customize it
Yeah, that's
with the
what I
controller,
like about it.
so it sort of fits your situation better than the original program that it comes with. Anyway,
It is a little bit complicated,
It's-
and that's why I wanted to go from one level to another,
Yeah.
because people are going to have some questions and probably going to have a couple issues when they first start it,
Yeah.
but once they get onto it, they'll be fine.
Yep. But like I said, it is very straightforward for those who are tech savvy. I'm not one of those people, so for me, it was a little bit of a struggle, I guess, to sort it out and figure it out. Finally, I clued in, the light bulb went off, and it's
Yep.
like, okay.
And once you figure it out, there's no problem at all.
Exactly.
Well, I think we've just about covered everything there. I want to thank Jim for helping me out. It's always nice to have a different perspective, especially for someone who's maybe not as tech savvy or aquarium light savvy. that would just walk in and get this light.
Sure. The last time I had an aquarium was probably in the 90s, and I had an aluminum canopy on it with incandescent bulbs. So this is all new to me, and it's fantastic.
Things have really changed. And
No kidding.
This particular light is made for aquarium plants. So that's what I really like about it, and that's why I wanted to have Jim do this one, is because his background is in growing plants and in horticulture and gardening. So I wanted his perspective, and with it, you're going to get an unbiased opinion. It's not like he received the light; I did. So,
but I have nothing really to compare it to.
Other
You've
than
got different
other than the
manufacturers,
lights.
obviously, and other people have used different manufacturers' products. So this is pretty much my first exposure to sort of delving into this sort of light, and yeah, I think it's really great.
I really like it. I said, some of the control aspects are a little bit complicated at first, but once you get onto it, you're fine.
Yeah, no problem at all.
I hope that's answered everyone's question when it comes to this light. For those who stuck around, I really appreciate it. And remember to hit that thumbs up. Think about subscribing and hit that notification bell.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see you on the next video. Thanks again.
Hey.
Anyways, thanks again. Say bye, Jim.
I thought you were done.
Say bye, Jim.
Bye, Jim.